If we end up in any of these scenarios where Donald Trump does not win, but certainly if it's a resounding defeat for the Republicans, where does that leave both the Republican Party and the system that we've operated on for the past 50 years?
It worries me in the sense that we need a strong competitive two-party system. You do not want a party and a half system where one party dominates and only loses the White House when they happen to be governing in an election year that has a serious recession or an unpopular war or a very serious scandal. That's not good for the country. We could be headed in that direction depending on what happens in November. Now, the Republicans after 2012 did a reasonable thing. The Chairman Priebus, appointed a very good commission that did an autopsy report on what happened and what ought to be done in the future. And their conclusions still apply. Republicans need to do much better appealing to minorities, appealing to women. They're looking at the future electorate. The country will be majority minority by around 2042. These are facts that you can't simply campaign away. And so I think the Republicans will have to go back to that model. But Doug, the problem for the Republicans is that I don't think the conservatives will accept that because their candidate, at least in the end, Ted Cruz, was the runner-up and didn't get the nomination. I can easily see the conservative wing of the party, which is still dominant in many of the states, saying, well, you see, if you'd nominated a real conservative, we would have won that election. Just like if you'd nominated a real conservative instead of McCain in 2008 and a real conservative instead of Mitt Romney in 2012. And so they're going to insist that their theory be tested. And we'll see what the conditions of an election year are, but that could be, underlined could, a formula for disaster.
It begins to sound like we could end up with a situation that the Republican Party becomes, in a more acknowledged way, essentially a party of two wings. The question then, I guess, would be whether those two wings of the party could find some basis of compromise to work with each other and be a force to be reckoned with in the way that the Democratic Party did that sort of bargain with the devil in the past, of where the progressives were willing to go along with segregation as long as the segregationist wing of the party kept them in power. Is there some sort of a parallel between those scenarios?
Well, there could be, and I think what it boils down to is after a number of defeats, you're hit over the head with a 2x4. Once, maybe you say it was an accident. Twice, you were unlucky. 3 times, it's a pattern you can't ignore. And that gives you incentive to change. Now, ideologues often require, an infinite number of strikes with the 2x4. You want to have 2 umbrellas under which most Americans can gather. They choose one. Maybe they switch from time to time, but they choose one. And it helps stability. And we are a superpower, and we need that stability. The world depends on us for that stability. This is not a good place to be where we are right now, but times change, and 2020 will be a completely different situation, I hope.